Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. The big banks, they creamed it last year in 2020, taking home record profits, but none more than Morgan Stanley. And with record profits, that means record CEO pay. So just how much did James Gorman, the CEO of Morgan Stanley, make last year? We'll look at that, how much the company made, and an acquisition Morgan Stanley made last year. So let's jump into my laptop here. This is the 8K form filed on January the 21st. So a few days ago now for JP Morgan and Chase, which is the wrong one. This is the right one, 8K form for Morgan Stanley, January 22nd. Scrolling down, we can see Mr. Gorman's total compensation was $33 million. This is made up of a few different things. So $9 million of it is straight cash. The other $24 million is company stock. He doesn't get all that company stock straight away. Some of it will be given to him over the few years as performance incentives. $1.5 million of the cash part is his base salary. He'd get that no matter what. And then almost $8 million is his cash bonus. If we look at JP Morgan and Chase, their 8K filing form. Now, Jamie Dimon is the CEO. He usually takes the number one spot in terms of who gets paid the most as a CEO in the big banks. This year, he didn't get a pay rise, so he was stuck on $31.5 million. Still a pretty good salary, but didn't get the top spot. Going back to Morgan Stanley, so their firm net revenues were $48.2 billion, and that's up 16% from last year. And Morgan Stanley's profit was $11 billion, and that's up 22%, which I don't think is a coincidence that matches up with the pay increase for the CEO. I'd say that's there's a bit of correlation between there. So the CEO pay is up 22%, and so is the profit for the year. They also had a few social schemes running. None more compelling in my mind than this one here. They're providing financial assistance to 2,000 street vendors across New York City who are suffering during the pandemic. Let's move on, because I think this will be far more interesting and likely the reason James Gorman got his pay rise in the end, and that is the two acquisitions that Morgan Stanley made, the E-Trade and Eaton Vance Corporation. These are massive not only because they're worth billions of dollars respectively, but because of the new customers and new business opportunities this brings to Morgan Stanley. So for the E-Trade deal, they acquired it for $13 billion in shares. With that, they got 5.2 million clients. These are mostly retail investors, like mum and pop investors or day traders, people who on their own don't invest a lot of money, but together collectively they've invested $56 billion of consumer deposits. Now, consumer deposits are often known as the cheapest form of financing, but Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, they've really struggled since the GFC to bring in consumer deposits because of tighter regulations since Obama's administration brought them in. So Goldman's answer to that was to create an organic company called Marcus. They built that from the ground up. They started that a couple of years ago now. And now we can see Morgan Stanley's answer is to just buy an existing company. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. We've got on one hand an organic company, Marcus. They've started that from the ground up. And then on the other hand, Morgan Stanley have just acquired E-Trade. They've grabbed it. They've scooped in. And they have taken it over. We'll see in the future what one ends up being more valuable to the company. So at the time of the deal, James Gorman spoke about the amount of E-Trade customers that sort of grew out of what E-Trade could offer and went to find proper financial advisors. Now that Morgan Stanley owns E-Trade, they'll be able to capture those people that were leaving, give them a more tailored experience, and turn them into high-end clients. So those 5.2 million people that were funneling through E-Trade, and some of them were leaving, will now be able to seamlessly move across to Morgan Stanley and get a far better experience with if they need a financial advisor. Something I found interesting was hearing James Gorman speak about the deal. So the deal, official talk started in December of 2019 and finished up in February 2020. That was when the official merge was signed and all that sort of thing. But it turns out James Gorman had been in talks with E-Trade since the turn of the century when he was working for Merrill Lynch, so not even working at Morgan Stanley. So it sort of looks like this deal had been in the works for a long, long time, and a few other banks had been looking at acquiring E-Trade, so Morgan Stanley thought we'd just have to act now and get onto it and buy E-Trade before it gets nabbed by someone else. What do you think, though? Did James Gorman deserve the $33 million paycheck, or was it a little bit excessive? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.